This episode is sponsored in part by PTZ Optics. Why hire a camera operator when the control is in your hands? Visit ptzoptics.com for more information. And by NewTek, makers of the TriCaster TC1. Stun your viewers, not your accountant. Visit newtek.com for more information.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode. This is actually episode number 10. We've made it, guys. We've made it 10 long episodes. Does it feel like we hit 10 episodes?
No, not really. I mean, it flew by. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Well, the statistic is, if you can make it to 10 episodes, then you're going to continue doing it. That's the statistic. That's the stigmata, if you will. But anyways, we're here. We got the gang. The whole gang is here. We've got Jake over here. I think he just got home from work, right? He's miming. I think you're muted, Jake. I think you muted yourself. I think he muted himself. No, he was there. I swear, everybody, he was there. Braden's there. We'll see if Jake can get his audio working. He'll just have to jump in and be like, "Hey, I'm here."
Yep.
But what about you? You didn't have to go in the office today, did you?
No, my office is being in the field, so doing all sorts of stuff at the campground right now. Keep it up and going, so something a little different every day.
It's how it always is, right?
Yep.
So, and Erin is back as well. She was just telling me, she's like, for those watching the video, she goes, I need a new background. I'm like, why? She goes, because my hair blends in with the background.
Blends in perfectly.
It blends in the background. I told her she should dye her hair, Braden. I said, you should just dye your hair like blue or green, and it'll just pop off the wall like yours is there.
Yep. I mean, it's perfect camouflage right now for you, Aaron.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So Jake apparently, I don't know if he had to reset or reboot. I don't know what happened. Probably a blue screen of death. So we'll get him back on when he gets back in here. But I don't know what happened. I'm sure he'll message us. It all just froze. He said I need to restart. So he'll be back. But anyways, it's great to be here, and I know a lot of you guys have been following along with our journey here of just, again, we're just talking, I don't want to say podcasting, but I guess we are podcasting this, and so it's one of those things that we enjoy doing. And Erin, since she doesn't talk a lot, we're gonna let her talk.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, come on! This is your chance.
It's my chance, huh? Okay. So.
That's okay. You don't have to say anything.
Good.
You don't have to say anything.
Maybe I didn't want to.
Jake, are you back? Are you back from? He just looks like it. Look at this.
I think he's froze.
Oh,
He's gone. He's gone again. I don't know, Brayton. I don't know what's going on here with this, with him. I don't know. Are you guys getting any bad weather where you're at or anything? Maybe he's getting bad weather because he was fine all through pre-show.
It's nice out here, so.
Wow.
Hot today, so we're good to go.
Well, we got a few things that we want to talk about today, and I thought my wife was going to be able to. She came up with the idea today, the topic. Believe it or not, it was one of the topics she came up with. But let me see if I can't do this while we're waiting. It was one of those things where I was like, well, what are we going to talk about today? I mean, there's so much we can talk about. And she goes, well, let's talk about getting your kids into the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And
tips to do it.
So that's something we're going to get into here. But I was talking with Braden earlier this week. I think it was this week, right? And we did a show on cameras earlier. If you guys missed that episode, go back. I don't remember what episode it was. It might have been episode 3 or 4. But we talked about cameras. So, Braden, you were telling us last week that your wife started into the photography stuff, hijacked your camera, but you're happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was both of our cameras to start out. I took it here and there. And now she's getting really interested in it, so she has one. And I was talking to my buddy yesterday, and he's like, I just got a new Sony camera. I have one sitting around. He's like, I'll give you a really good deal on it if you want it. I came home, I told her, I'm like, what do you think? She's like, do it.
Nice.
That way you have your own camera now. I'm like, hey, that's a win-win for me because it's used, but it's the newer version, so it's going to take better picture quality. It's going to be full frame rate and everything else.
So
I'm
we
super
we want to
stoked on
preface
that.
this hashtag impulse buy.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we got Jake back. Jake's finally back.
I'm finally back. See, this is what happened when I go into the office. I have to disassemble everything, and then apparently I don't put everything right
You
back
know,
together correctly. And
I almost said to you, are you connected by chance to a VPN through work that it's causing you
Yeah.
to have problems?
I was on the VPN, and then on my MacBook, there's the USB C ports or whatever,
Yeah.
and I go through a hub. So it's like I had to like switch my two USB C ports, and now I think we're better. I don't know, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of latency between what you're saying and what's coming out. So I don't know
is
what.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have
I
to
don't
just
know.
hit you might have to just hit the refresh in the browser part of it, the actual interface. We'll see if we can get him squared away. But listen, he was perfect when we were getting set up. He was 100% perfect. So I don't know what happened. But anything interesting this week, Jake? Was it the goats? Did you finally get them out of your basement, or are they? You still working on the
No.
pen?
So apparently they are 8,000 posts behind on the line post for fencing.
Oh,
So yeah, that fence isn't happening. So now I need to buy like T-posts, like metal T-post, and build the fence that way. So I was like, oh, because I called them and I'm like, so when can I expect this? And they're like, well, we're 8,000 posts behind on this on all of our orders, so we can't give you a day because we don't know when we're going to get our next shipment, and it could be tomorrow or it could be the end of the year.
and you like needed it. I think you told us what by the summertime you wanted it done.
Yeah, because that's when I told my neighbor that we'd get the donkey over and everything, and I messaged him tonight, and I was like, so I can't build the wooden fence, but I'm going to try building the metal fence and making it do. So now I got to spend like $800 to build this fence that's not going to be the final fence. So now I'm minus $800 into the fencing or anything else. So I'm like, well, I guess I got to do what I got to do, but
Right.
that was
Yeah.
a reality check.
But we got to see though first. Is the bow still back there? Did you actually move it?
It's not there.
Oh, it's not there. Is it on the other
Oh,
side?
snap.
Is it, we know he didn't shoot it, so he
He
had
hid it
to have
from us.
moved. He had to have moved it.
Yep. I was like, they're going to ask for it again.
You know, darn straight, I was gonna do that.
It's been moved, so we can't say it's actually sitting
It's like,
He moved
it's
it
like-
2 feet.
right here.
like where's Waldo, but where's Jake's bow?
Still in arm's reach. I had to move it to get my shotgun out for turkey season, so I was just like, oh, we'll move it, and then I never moved it back. So
So let's
Sitting
talk
all
about
the
that a
time.
little bit. You actually went. We'll start with you. You actually went last weekend. You went camping or went to a camp, turkey
Mhm.
hunting. Did you get anything?
no one got anything. We went out Friday night listening, trying to see if we could get anything on like roost any birds or anything, and we went to a new spot, did some owl hoots and stuff, and didn't hear anything. So like, okay, we'll go to the spot that my buddy normally hears them at, and got to the woods probably around like 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
We sit down, and I mean, it's where we sit, it's so still that we're in like a valley and you can hear both sides of the mountain. So probably around like 6:30 the whippoorwill started, owl started, and then it was like a late morning because like the crows didn't come out until probably like 7. And my buddies did some crow calls trying to get them to like shot gobble, and didn't hear anything. So probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock ish, we went for a walk up the mountain, and did some more calling and stuff, and nothing. Came back down to where we originally were and decided to sit for the rest of the day, well, until 12. We had a hen decoy out, and we were sitting there. It was probably like 10:30, 11, and we're both like dozing off and just like kind of like tucked in, waiting for something to happen. And we hear, "Burp, burp, 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 burp." We're like, "What is that?" And here a hen comes walking out like at 15 yards, just pecking and looking around, and mosey on for like, I don't know, a minute or two, 15 yards out in front of us, and then walked her way back into the woods, and that was it. No gobbles, no nothing.
I was just sitting here, and I know you guys can't see this. Let me see if I can pull down with Mission Control here. Let me see if I have a shot of it. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if I can zoom in on this shot here, because I've got a not a message, but on my phone here. Let me see if I can do this, because I have one of those cellular cameras out in the back.
Yeah.
They're all out there. They're all out there to
Party.
play. There's probably about 10 of them out there.
Oh wow.
I'm like, really? It's not deer season, and they think it's
Party time.
I get so frustrated when
Well,
it's
plus time, at least they're there.
Yeah. I've seen my phone blowing up, and I'm like, what the heck is it? And yeah, it's deer. I've still got deer on the brain, especially with other stuff going on. Braden, what about you? You went out last weekend. Anything?
So didn't ultimately end up killing anything, but had a good time. My dad came down Friday, and we decided to go Saturday morning and set up roughly where I thought they were, because I saw Thursday morning at like 9 o'clock, I saw 3 strutters down in like a little river bottom, and normally they work off the mountain. So I was like, I told him, I'm like, let's just get up in the morning, we'll hike up here, we'll stand still up here on this little bench, and we'll just basically hear out and do some owl hoots and whatnot. And we're sitting there on the bench, and we're just talking, like silently talking to each other. And
Mm-hmm.
Dad was in my ear talking. He's like, hey, there's a gobble out the ridge. He's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, from past experience, I know it's easier to call a turkey up the mountain than it is down the mountain. So I told him, I'm like, let's get up above them, because it's easier to call them up than it is down. So we worked up this little bench. I don't know, we probably went up 150 yards and then worked out the bench. And I looked out through the hollow there, and I saw some feathers rustling up in the limbs. And these 3 hens just pitched down right at the base of the tree they were roosted in. So we set the decoys up and made a few calls, and he was hammering. I mean, he was hot. He was gobbling on the roost, gobbling on the roost, gobbling on the roost. When them hens pitched down, I was like, well, he's coming. We made a few clucks, and I'm sitting there, and wouldn't you know it, I mean, the hens, they just came on a bead. And I looked at my dad, and I'm like, hey, it's going to be a quick one. Like, we're going to be in the woods 10 minutes. It's going to be over with. So these 3 hens, they come out, and they were 10 yards from us, just feeding through, clucking, purring the whole time. And I'm like, man, this gobbler's got to show up any time now. Like, he's going to follow them. Well, they worked past us, and about 5 minutes later, we call some more, and the gobbler, he worked down the ridge. He didn't end up following the hens, so that was a bust. So we're trying to figure out what else we wanted to do, like where to go. And I mean, the gobblers that morning, that was the first I've heard gobbles where we were in that particular area. That's the first time I've heard them gobble all year. I guess it being a little bit cooler out got them fired up, but there was 6 or 7 gobblers all around us. But most of them, they were too far up on the mountain. I'm like, we can get to them, but we're not going to work them down.
Right.
We're not going to get above them. They're too far in a distance. So I'm still working on him. He's still in the area, but haven't got him yet. So hopefully tomorrow or Saturday I can change that.
My buddy Mark went out, and he didn't see anything. He heard a few things, and then today he went out. Last night he put him to bed, and nothing. He's like not even a gobble. He had deer, he was like 3 yards in front of him, but that was about it. It was like
Right.
the gobblers. They're just nowhere to be found. So
I think
I don't
they're
know.
all henned up by now. So
You
I
think?
think they're, yeah. Me and my brother-in-law went around mushroom hunting there the other day, and I found a couple turkey eggs. It seems a little early for them to be hatched, but they were either hatched already or
Got into.
a raccoon or something got them, but the eggs weren't all busted up, so it makes me think that they were hatched, but I'm not 100% sure on that. There was 3 of them there, so.
It could be the weather though, because it's been cold, and it's
Yeah,
not normal.
we've had some bipolar weather down here, so.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
Like
wondering
I said,
if it
2 weeks ago we had that 8 inches of snow.
might have messed them up.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell, but I know they're around. I hear them here and there. The other day, we were working around the campground, and it was what time was it? 4:15. I look out through the woods, like 70 yards in front of me. There's a longbeard just feeding through. I'm like what? What's he doing right now?
Yeah, I seen a turkey. I think it was April 28th. I think there was a bunch of them back there that we saw in the back, but that was it. Like, I don't know if they're roosting near us out in the property. I haven't gone out, I'll be honest. I haven't had time. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, the way the weather's been going. Like, we were under, tornado watch the other day, and everything's just been crazy. So
Some storms tonight.
well, not storms tonight. It's supposed to rain tonight,
Just rain.
and then tomorrow, and then Saturday, and then it'll we'll be in the low 80s, high 70s next week. So I mean, who knows? Summer, it always seems to go like this. Just summer just shows up,
Yep.
and it messes up trout fishing. It messes up any kind of turkey hunting. So I don't know. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk some more about this, as well as how to get your kids involved in the outdoors. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Apex Gear, known for their performance-driven archery sights and accessories, is pleased to introduce the new Covert Series archery sight. VersaPin technology allows shooters to change the pin color and pin size on demand in an instant. The compact and lightweight sight is equipped with stainless steel hardware, micro-adjustable windage and elevation, an ultra-smooth, easy one-hand adjustment knob for quick yardage changes, and a micro-push button light. The new Covert Series from Apex Gear.
Confidence is key, and when bow hunting, confidence can be defined by one word: accuracy. Introducing the Thorn Expandable Broadhead. Its patented hidden blade technology guarantees field point accuracy, and the patented rip tip grabs at hide and flesh, ensuring deployment and beginning the process of devastation. Its stainless steel blades render up to a massive 2.2-inch cut. For confidence and accuracy, there is only one choice: Thorn Broadheads, the world's most accurate broadhead.
And we are back. Now, if you guys remember, last couple of weeks I was talking about that buck hut that I had purchased, or I had purchased it from Dick's Sporting Goods, and it was something that I had wanted, and I ended up getting it for Dick's Sporting Goods had it for like $850 plus $300 shipping because they had to do it freight. And then what happened was they canceled the order. You guys know I mentioned this on another episode, so it would end up costing me almost $1,400. Well, I found through Walmart, through a third-party company, that they had this very Buck Hut Q200, and I was it's a 2022 model, based on the serial number. It came freight, guys. It showed up in 2 boxes. I actually got it earlier than I was supposed to. I got it last Friday, and so I was joking around with Erin. So you can see I've got it erected there, but I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I need some help putting this together. So each one of those, I don't know if you can see it, but that's just the base that you stand on. Okay, there's 4 pieces for that, and you have to screw it all together. There must be 100 screws and bolts just in that, not counting any of the reinforcement beams that you got to put on along the. You can see the 2 beams running through the center, and then there's 2 that go down, but they're all little pieces, and they go over it. that there took me about 2 hours by myself to put it together. That's how many nuts and bolts go on that thing.
Oh, wow.
So then my buddy Floyd, he messaged me. Well, I asked him. I messaged him. I was like, "So what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I just got out of work." I'm like, he's like, "Why? What are you doing?" And I took a picture of this, and he goes, "Oh," and you can see all the pieces on the floor. It just looks like tubing because it came in 275-pound boxes on a pallet, and which Walmart ended up covering. I didn't have to pay for the shipping, which was free to residential. So I literally paid $790 out the door. I didn't have to pay the extra 300.
Can't beat that.
No, my brother's like, "You stole it." But it was one of those things. So I got on the phone and I was like, "Hey, are you busy?" And he's like, I said, "I could use some muscle here, because I think you had to run and take Daniel somewhere."
Mm-hmm. And then Samantha somewhere.
And I needed some help because I couldn't lift this all by myself. So Floyd's like, "Yeah, I'll be over." So him and I think by 7:30, 7:45, and I had started on it around like 3:30, 4 o'clock. We had it all assembled to where we could take it to the field and put it all together, like put the legs on it, because obviously we weren't going to carry it down fully erect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the girls were able to help us, and we were able to set it up. But as you saw in this other picture here, it turned out really good. I got it up. He anchored it into the ground. We had like the 16-inch spikes on it. It's got a nice floor mat inside, and that's what I was going to show you guys here. So I actually have a video where you come up the ladder. It's got a nice inner, I don't know what you call it, a handle or whatnot to get into the blind. But they have these really cool adjustable slides that are inside of here, and you can see the mat. It doesn't completely seal the ground. So you can get some airflow in there, but I hope that's not a problem. But like, this is all magnetic, but there are zippers on the side, so you definitely want to have that loose. But this is the main shooting window that I'd be using. Outside of it, you can see right out there. That's the zone, you know. Oh, you guys aren't seeing nothing. Oh, we're sitting here talking. Sorry about that. Let me back that up then. I didn't realize he was telling me he didn't see the. So let's go back to this. I didn't realize you guys didn't say nothing. I didn't know you guys didn't see it.
I didn't know if you were doing some.
So I'll just
because I know sometimes it goes
on there.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That was my fault. I'm sitting here going on. I'm looking at my monitor and I saw it, so that was my fault. So, anyways, real quick, I'll go back to it here. So this is it already erect, and then this is the thanks for that in the chat room there, and that's where we had it. So it's about I think it's about 17 yards from where the feeder is, so they should be able to hit that. But right here, this is what I was talking about. So you go up, they got these nice handles right at the top that you can grab and get in. It's not 100% sealed on the bottom. I guess for airflow, but I think they could have made it a little longer. That's my first feedback. I think they could have went, because on the sides, it actually wraps up on the sides a little bit. So I don't know if there's something I could probably get, like a piece of foam or something. I don't know if it's such a big deal.
You might get bees or something in there.
I hope not. It is zippered on the sides, but they are magnetic. So, like, I could unzip it before, right when I get in the stand, just unzip it and then just, make it magnetic. You can put the 2 Millennium seats down inside there if you cut a hole in the mat. But those rails there, they're adjustable, and they act as a gun rest, so you can actually adjust them and slide them up or slide them down. But they also. Yeah, and they act as, for stabilization too, right?
Right.
So I thought it was pretty cool because I want to be able to just come down the yard, climb right up inside of it. It's nice and quiet inside there. I could put a buddy heater in there, and you could sit there. But the cool part is it's 7 foot from the center to where the mat is, so you can actually stand up in there and shoot. And that's what I wanted to do because I know you have a hard time sitting and shooting.
Yeah.
With a conventional bow. So we wanted to where you could get up and get out of the way and pull it back and shoot. And so I don't know. You were up inside of it. What do you think?
I think it's nice. I like it. I can imagine having a heater up in there and just.
Yeah. So what she's trying to say, she's already claimed it.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. No.
That's
So
how it always works.
so I might take some padding or something or a mat and put it inside around those edges. Just cut it. I have some left over from the garage. So I don't know if a bees will go in there or not. I'm kind of hoping not.
Mhm.
I keep going out there and
Yeah.
checking, because we sometimes get them inside of that the kids' playhouse.
Oh, all the time. We get those wasps.
That's what I don't want in
No.
there. So I don't know, but either way, I'm pretty excited about it. I think it'll be really good. It's something I could sneak down, get up inside of it. What I might do is in the afternoons go down and get situated, get set up, put all my stuff in there. So that way all I have to do is get dressed and come down and then go right into the blind. I think that
Right.
would work.
Yeah.
But again, this goes along with our topic today about how to get your kids involved in the outdoors, because that was something I know, Aaron, you were really strong about it. You did
Mhm.
not want you still don't want Daniel going up in a tree stand.
Well, no, just because I feel like it's, he's a kid and kids just are kids. They goof around. They don't think before they act sometimes, and all he needs is to do one wrong move. Now, granted, he'll have a harness, but at the same time, I mean, it still would rather him go into a solid blind like that where he has at least space to move around. And part of having kids go out is preparation. I mean, you gotta prepare things. You gotta, let them dress a little, have extra layers of clothing on, and they can always take it off, so they're not cold or hot or whatever. And making sure your equipment's sturdy for them, because again, they're kids. They're gonna be climbing. If you don't, you got to teach them how to do everything, how the ropes, and also it's just pretty much taking your time and kind of not necessarily lower your expectations, but just kind of realize that you're going to need a lot of patience, and you're going to need to maybe it'll just be practicing sitting in a blind just for a little bit, just so they understand what it's like. You may not get something the first time you're out there with them, and that's okay. It's all a part of them getting out there and loving what you're doing, and it's the experience of just enjoying that time with them.
Let me ask you, Braden. We'll start with you. When did you first go out hunting or fishing, and did your dad have to twist your arm to go out, or was it something like once you were out there, you were hooked?
Nah, I mean, I can't remember how old I was, but I was young, probably definitely before I was 8. But whenever I turned, it was either 8 or 9, my dad would always let me skip school to go stalk trout with him, my uncle, and my grandpa. So I'd get to skip school, we would stalk trout, and then we'd fish later on. Whenever it came to like deer hunting, my dad and my uncle built, well, they made like a little 8 foot ladder stand, I think is what it was, and had like a carpet seat on there for me and whatnot, big platform. And they would basically lug that thing everywhere they went. And here I am, 8, 9 years old. I'm sitting in the ladder stand. I mean, I'm harnessed in and everything, but what I remember the most, I would always get to skip school, and if my dad was working, my uncle would take me. And my uncle always used to tell me, he's like, the only way I kept you quiet was like a pound of gummy bears and some cough drops. So there I was. I'm sitting in this ladder stand. I mean, I'm hunting with my dad or I'm hunting with my uncle, and I'm just eating my big bag of gummy bears, and I was good to go. I mean, they did whatever it took to keep me interested, but at the same time, I wouldn't have needed any of that because I mean, I was hooked from an early age. I mean, my dad just brought it up the other day. He said, he's like, I can't wait till your son gets old enough where he can be outdoors more than that. He's like, I remember whenever you would wear your camouflage bibs and your cowboy boots. He's like, that's all you wore. You couldn't get it off you. You wanted to be in the woods all the time. So, I mean, I was hooked at an early age, like I said, and like I had this little. You probably know what I'm talking about. Like I think you got them from Walmart. little red bows that had the little cams on
Oh
it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whenever they'd go hunting and I'd go with them, I would take that out with me.
Aw.
And we would go 3D shooting. And at this point in time, 3D shooting, I had a youth Hoyt bow, so it shot a little quicker. But they never bought me arrows. I always just scrounged all the arrows that had like some fletching ripped off of it or a little ding in the shaft and whatnot. And here I was going to 3D shoots with them, just flinging arrows all day long. So I mean, I had a blast at a young age. So I can definitely thank my family for the big influence on me being as avid as a hunter as I am today.
What about you, Jake? I mean, when did you first? I mean, I remember when we had you in youth group, and you were young spud. You were still hunting. Your dad was taking you out. You were going out on. I remember
Yeah.
rifle hunting. Like, what really got you into it? Was it the first time, or did he have to start dragging you? I mean, how did that work?
So my dad actually stopped hunting for a while after my mom's dad passed away because that's who he hunted with.
Okay.
So my dad just kind of fell out of hunting and stuff. And when I was real little, I think I was in kindergarten, my dad would pick me up at school, and we'd go to Valley Forge Park, and he had an old Saturn with a sunroof, and I would sit up in the sunroof on his shoulder and look out the top, and we drive around looking for deer. And I think that's kind of what started my fascination with deer, because you get so excited every time you see them, even though there's 1,000 in Valley Forge.
Oh yeah.
Every time you see them, I get excited. And then I know he hunted and had some stuff, and I had to beg him for a while because I had asked him a few times, and he'd be like, "You're not serious. You're not serious." And then finally, he's like, "All right, well, let's get your hunter safety course." So I think it was like 14 or so. I don't know. I still have my hunter safety card in my wallet. But then we went out and we only had one shotgun between both of us. So he'd let me carry the gun, and I mean, we're trampling through the woods, and then there's at one point I remember there was a deer that came in, and we were on public land, and it was behind a tree for me, but my dad had a perfect shot, but I had the gun. So we're like, all right, well, that's not going to work. So then we went to a spot where he brought his 30-30 then. So it was like I had the slug gun, he had the 30-30, and we still didn't see anything. But it was more just kind of like getting out together and spending time together. And it was funny because every time we come home, my mom goes, "You catch anything?" And we're like, "Nope." We took the gun for a walk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, he hunted when my mom's dad was around and stuff, and fell off. And then I didn't start archery hunting until I was probably old enough to buy a bow, and I mean, probably 17, 18, I think I started.
Okay.
It was just pretty much slug gun the whole time.
So for you and Braden, now we'll get to Aaron then here. For you and Braden, your kids are young. I've already got a step ahead of you where I've kind of got my kids involved in the outdoors. What is your goal? What's your plan? I know, Braden, you've already started taking your son out fishing and getting him acclimated. He seems like he really enjoys it, but
Yeah, he loves it right now. I mean, does he really understand the full aspect of it? No, just because he's young. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just gonna do the same thing my family did for me. Just go outdoors. I mean, every chance we get, we're gonna go out to the woods, even if it doesn't mean him shooting anything or me shooting anything. Just let him get the full aspect of it. Like I said, I was going whenever I was 8 years old with my uncle and my dad and my grandpa. Yeah, there's my camo bibs.
Kind of a new territory of
Yeah.
kind of how to introduce your
Right.
young one to the woods. But
yeah, and Braden, I got that picture. We'll show that here in a little bit. Aaron, what about you? I know your family was big in the outdoors, and what about you? Did you ever go hunting and fishing with your dad or anything like that?
Well, I remember when I was about 5 or 6, and my brother, he's a year younger than me, so we loved going for walks in the woods with my dad. Like that was one of our favorite things, and it didn't matter if we were looking, he would always show us animal tracks. He would always show us like whatever. It was the best thing ever to go for walks in the woods. Like we would just beg him, like, Dad, can we go for a walk? He'd say, okay, let's go. So he'd just take us to the back of our property, and he would just, take us on little deer paths and show us animal, like I said, and then I would always help him. I felt so important. I would hold his arrows for him when he'd practice shooting, and he literally made this cardboard cutout of this deer, and he put it in his garage against some bales of hay, and that's how he'd shoot. And he'd just measure it back, and I felt so cool just holding the arrows for him, and he still has that. We have that black bow still from him, by the way.
Do we?
Yes, we do. And that's the bow
Oh,
he would
that's
use to go
right.
hunting. And then
Well, your mom has it. The
oh,
bow.
yeah,
She
yeah.
has the bow.
and
yeah.
then oh my gosh, it started to get to a point where this got annoying. But like whenever we would go anywhere from especially from like my grandparents' area who have a farm or like and they're out in Mercer, and we'd be driving back home, he'd always have his spotlight with him, and I used to hate driving home with him because he'd be like, oh, look, and he'd shine the spotlight in a field, and there'd always be like 5 or 6 deer, and they'd be popping their heads up all looking at us. And I mean, we thought it was cool, but at some point it got a little old because he did it like every warm night that he could do it. But it was still
Right.
fun. It was stuff that you look forward to. And even to this day, I still try and look for deer as I'm driving, with the kids. I'm like, oh, kids, look. They're like, yes, Mom, we see there's 10 deer in the field, Mom. Yes, I see that. And it's just fun. I just, things you remember with your dad,
Yeah, and I think for me a lot was different. I didn't hunt. I didn't start hunting until almost 10 years ago, and I started hunting because of Aaron's dad and the family, because that's what they did. And when I came out here, I was as city as they come. I mean, like that. That's all I knew. I mean, but when I was younger, my parents would go. We'd go fishing. We fished a lot for trout. That's all we fished for was trout. Sometimes we go for shad. Sometimes we go for bass. So I knew how to fish. And then, like, I guess the period, like, kind of like what you were saying, Jake, where your dad stepped away from doing it. I went to college. There was really no place to fish. I mean, you're familiar with that area when you're in Phoenixville, and there's not, like, I was too busy going to college, so I kind of stepped away from it. But I got back into it because Samantha, at a really young age, we were by the lake that we fish at, and she goes, Dad, what are they doing? I said, they're fishing. She goes, Dad, I want to go fishing. And I'm just thinking, like you were saying, Braden, like, does she understand what it is? But
Right.
after that, man, she was hooked. Once she started catching fish, like, I've got videos and stuff.
she gets competitive. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, she like, if her brother gets a big one, she's got to get a bigger one.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But that was something. So then I wanted to get into hunting, and my buddy Floyd, he really wanted me to. I bought a crossbow. He's like, that's not bow hunting. He says, go get a real bow. And then I started working with him, and then her dad started showing me different ways to hunt. And I'm trying to figure this all out. Like, I didn't grow up with a dad that hunted. I didn't know the first thing. So I'm like researching and learning and trying to do the best I can with it, with what I know. So I just knew I had to get really good with the bow. And it was just, her dad and her family kind of pushed me, not to push me to do it, but they pushed me into knowing how to do stuff. Like, I'd ask them, like, what do I do with this, or what do I do with that?
Right.
And now our kids, they like to play video games and stuff, but let me tell you, if it's
They
nice
would
out,
rather be outside.
they want to be out there. They wanted to camp out in that buck hut. They wanted to sleep up there. And I'm like, yeah, it's a little too cold right now for that, but
Maybe in the summer.
maybe in the summer. But
That's
that's
a free scouting report.
yeah, exactly. So I just, I thought that was cool. And so we, like, one thing I don't do is I don't force it. Like, my daughter, she doesn't like to hunt. She'll shoot a bow. She don't want to hunt.
She'd rather fish.
She'd rather fish. Where Daniel wants to get a deer.
He wants to do it all.
He wants a deer north. Yeah. If I tell him I'm going out to shoot, he's right there by my side. He wants his bow, and he goes out, and he's got a Matthews mission. So I mean, we didn't, he's learning. He's actually doing really good with that. So, I think the consensus here, folks, is that if you get your kids involved in the outdoors, it doesn't mean they have to be the best at it or the worst at it.
Start slow.
just get them outdoors and let them experience the cool stuff that's out there, because
Yeah.
I know for me it's changed, my way of thinking. It gets me away from all the tech and everything. And anybody that follows the other stuff they do with the video games and stuff, believe it or not, we have all these video games and arcades, but we're outside a lot. I mean, it's something that we do in the wintertime. We collect a lot and whatnot, but I mean, if I can get outside and hunt, I'm going outside and hunt. So
Right.
we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. Braden did another, I don't know if he did an impulse buy recently. I don't know. He always has an impulse buy. I did an impulse buy. So we'll talk about it when we come back, and he's to blame for it. All right, and we're back. And before we took the break, Braden was talking about how he was raised up, and he had some final thoughts with that. I'm going to kick it over to him.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest factors in like why I'm addicted to it, like I was saying earlier, my uncle would always give me gummy bears. Like, no matter who I was hunting with, they always made it fun for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a job. Like my grandpa, he was probably like the biggest hunter out of our family. He was diehard. Like, don't get me wrong, he was diehard. But at a young age, he was always making sure I had like the newest camo. If it involved hunting, I got it, just because that was his passion, and he sort of like instilled it in my brain. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'm get to go hunting with my family. Like I'm getting this, I'm getting that, and we would go out, we would have fun. You know what I mean? There was no pressure. We just had fun, and that's like that picture right there. My son Breakston, if we're outside, he's happy. You know what I mean? Like that day, we just went for a walk, and I tore down my saddle setup, and he was in the woods. We saw some turkey, saw some deer, and I mean, look at the smile on his face. He was happy as a peacock,
Yeah.
Aw.
and he was just enjoying the outdoors. So,
Well,
I mean, I think. What's that?
I was gonna say, didn't you say when you went trout fishing though, you spent more time letting him just kind of play around,
Oh yeah,
rather than
yeah,
catching fish?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went fishing that day, and like I said, I casted the line a couple times. We weren't getting any bites, but he's one of them kids. He thinks he can do everything on his own already. Dude, like, you're not even two yet. Like, you need help. He insisted on. I got it, like I said earlier in the one podcast. I got him his own little ugly stick fishing rod and reel, and I had it set up, and that's what I was casting in the water, and he wanted it, so I reeled it in, cut the hook off, and like I said before, he was using it as a shovel, so he was slamming the end of the rod into the ground. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? He's having fun. Like,
Mhm.
he's enjoying being outdoors, so just let him do it. You know what I mean? Keep him interested. Don't instill into him like, hey, you need to pay attention. Do this, do that. Like, let the kids have fun. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was something we always did too. We never tried to force them. Like I'd be like, hey, you guys want to go fishing? Most of the time they were like, yeah. But if they said no, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going. So,
Right.
Right.
but they do like going on the boat.
Oh yeah, they love the boat.
So I mean, unless it's really really hot days, but yeah. So one of the things that we were talking about, again, we talked about cameras, and just so you guys know, we're always trying to better our productions. We're trying to better video outside. So a buddy of mine from work, he was actually doing some vlogs from NAB, which is the broadcast convention, and he was just simply using a GoPro on looks like a selfie stick, for lack of a better term. I have a gimbal coming, So I went out. I was telling Braden I went out and bought the Hero 9 Black, which has a screen on the front and a screen on the back. And I wanted to talk about this real quick because Braden, I know you have a 9 or an 8 and a 10.
8 and a 10. Yep.
And some of you guys out there, we talked about self-filming and doing some things. I know my buddy Mark was talking about he wants to do that, but he doesn't have the camera know-how, and that's not a slam against him. That's not a slam against anybody. You're not in the video production world like myself, or you haven't dabbled with it like Braden's been doing. I am very, very impressed with this GoPro. I mean, the 9, you have the 10, so we can both say that they're both pretty awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
The microphone on it, the quality, it does 5K. Not that you need 5K, but you can do it. And for $350 for the 9, or go $500 for the 10, this is a great way to start filming those hunts with your kids. I strapped this on. I got a bunch of footage from my old GoPro that I kept on my hat mount. I don't know if you've ever done that, Braden, or did in the chest. And I filmed like while I was netting my kids fish and helping them, just filming that footage. That's stuff that you can have with you. It's a waterproof camera, so you can give it off to your kids as you're pulling something in. You want them to film. It's got great image stabilization. So I wanted to kind of throw that out there, and I know, Braden, I'll let you introduce this clip here, but you actually have some footage here that you could share with us with it.
Right. So this is out in Montana this past year whenever we were hunting, and that's filmed with my Hero 10. So, I mean, you can see the crisp quality, and I don't have like an external mic on it. Obviously, the sound's muted there, but
yeah,
the sound quality's, for us, as small as camera as the GoPros are, we're just gonna say the sound quality's next to none. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really well. Like I said, I haven't found any flaws with it yet. Comes with that hyper smooth technology, so everything's more stable and not fidgety. All in all, I mean, I love my GoPros, especially like the Hero 9, the Hero 10. I use them for like, I have my Canon camcorder that I use as my main camera for filming my hunts, but I use my GoPros as like your third person view.
Yeah, I mean, even doing something like what we're doing now. You want to do a podcast. You don't have a lot of money. You don't want to spend a lot of money to get gear. You could probably set one of these up with you and your buddy and sit close enough to it so you get a nice head and shoulder shot like we're doing here.
Yeah.
And start doing an outdoor podcast, or maybe you're sitting in the woods and you just want to explain, like, this is the way, like, you killed so many turkeys, and you want to just explain how you do it. There's so many options with this.
Are you live capable?
Yes.
Live stream capable with yours?
So mine, I was gonna say, you can also live stream from it, and you can also put a lens attachment. And on yours, you can do it too. You have to turn the lens, and you can actually pop the lens off and put an extension. I forget what they call it, but the extension part of it on to get a bigger lens, if you will.
Yep.
And even an external mic. They have a shotgun mic that you can get it, but it's all touchscreen. It's waterproof right out of the gate. You don't have to buy any additional attachments. I even bought some extra batteries for it. They're knockoffs, but still, battery's battery, right? So
yep, exactly.
I think it's pretty cool. So to add on to our segment from before, that's highly recommend.
Yeah, and I think if you're just beginning and you want to film your hunts, like a GoPro is a good starter point. You're obviously not, if you're shooting at something out 40 yards, you're obviously not going to get it
right
that in depth in the frame, but at the same time, it's a relatively cheap startup. It comes with great quality video, photos, and I mean, it's basically has everything you need for a camera. It just doesn't have that in-depth zoom capability.
Well, and here's the thing, Braden. So most people, and I know, and I'm going to explain this to the hunters out there that are going, like, you talk about 4K, 5K, like my TV's 4K. I get that. But I only need 1080p. That's what most people are watching on YouTube. That's what most people are watching on Facebook. I get it. But you should always film whatever you're filming at the highest resolution your camera is for this reason.
Right.
You can always use your software that you're using to edit to digitally zoom.
Yep.
Like Braden was saying, if you're shooting out at a turkey that's 30, 40 yards, or even a deer, you could digitally zoom it and still keep the quality level there. You can do it within the software. So that's a little pro tip for you guys out there if you want to do something like that. I always film at the highest resolution I can. So if I need to do some digital zooming, and I could show you that in some when we get into the deer season stuff, because I have some self-filmed deer kills that I had that I was using some digital zoom on, because obviously you can't zoom it while you're pulled back with a bow.
Right.
So you can kind of see things like that. But yeah, man, I know, Jake, we've tried a bunch of different cameras. I think you have a Tacticam too, don't you?
Yep.
So
it's actually sitting right here, the 5.0 that I use. So still getting used to it. My biggest thing is kind of, especially with my bow, to keep my arm up to follow the shots. I'm just so used to shooting and just dropping it or whatever, and not keeping it up. Or like when I take it like waterfowl hunting, when I shoot,
yeah,
I'm constantly shooting, and then 1, 2, 3, and then I'm pulling the gun down to see or to reload, where I'm not keeping the
that's where you got to get the head mount of
camera on the target.
I have the head mount one. I love it.
I was thinking, and then with my the bow, I might put it get like a tree mount or something to put it on. Just
that's what I do. Yep.
Eliminate the need for me to keep it where I need it.
100%.
So.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of putting the Tacticam on the bow, or even a GoPro on a bow or on a gun, because when they shoot, you're not paying attention at the time you lay your gun down out shooting the grass. You're not getting.
Yeah, I did that a few times when I was at waterfowl hunting, because the Tacticam has like the red dot you can put on to kind of see like where you shoot for like the waterfowl stuff or just target shooting. So I thought it'd be cool to like line the red dot up and shoot, but I'm like, I could, if I want a red dot, I could do it in editing software. Just throw a red dot on the screen in the middle of it, and that's pretty much what it's doing. I mean, middle of the frame, that's where the red dot would be anyways. So
if the water was clear enough, like I could give this to Erin, she could extend it out in the water, Braden, and get like a cool shot of you pulling in a fish, with it splashing around. That's additional footage that you can get. So all these cameras, Tacticam, GoPro, depending on what you need, they're reasonably priced, and you can get a lot done with these cameras.
Yeah, and you can even buy just like a Sony Handycam camcorder, that couple $100, and it's everything you need to start out with.
Yeah, there's a lot of, if you need the waterproof stuff. But so Erin was just messaging me here just a little bit ago about what we're going to talk about on next week's show, because we're going to have to wrap this up here. But she has a topic that she thinks you guys would be interested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's called "So You Want to Hunt? Now What?"
So start thinking about these things, guys, of what we can offer, because like I said, I know I could speak to a lot of this, because I didn't grow up like you guys did, with especially you, Braden. We talked about this before. Like I'm not an expert when it comes to hunting. Anything I've learned from other people, I've read, or even stuff I learned from you, and some others. So I think this will be interesting to bring this to the table. Like, what are some of the top things if somebody wants to get into hunting? Like my brother, I got him into bow hunting. Him and his wife now are bow hunting. They're shooting bows. We got him on that Triax. He's got my other Triax. He's been shooting that. Been doing really good. So these are questions that people come up with, like, what do I need? I mean, he asks me that all the time. So
yep. So we can talk about basically just hunting on a budget per se, like the bare essentials that you need to get out and go hunting.
Yes,
exactly.
We're not going to be like product slamming you next week and being like, oh, you gotta. One thing you do need to do, and I'm going to tell you this right, just so you can kind of get prepared. You don't want to leave your bow in your office like this guy does and move it from place to place.
Camouflage, you can't see it.
Yeah, this is not the bow you are looking for.
That's the one thing I will say. You don't want to do that. You want to go.
I can run the what not to do for hunting.
Sure, we'll go with that. But either way, I think we'll have a lot of fun with that. And listen, you guys can always hit us up on social media, any of the No Boundaries Outdoors posts, or on the Facebook. We have a messenger on there. I don't have a specific email. You can email me, steve@noboundariesoutdoors.com, or it's kind of easier to do it through the Facebook Messenger on our page, because all of us have access to it. So like Braden could see, like, hey, somebody, or Jake, somebody had messaged us, they want us to talk about this. So if you go and do that, one of us four will be able to see that on the page, and we'll be able to be like, huh, okay, let's do a show about this.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
yeah, so let's do that. If you have a question, or if it's something you'd just like us to discuss. Again, we are not experts. We are just talking about our experience. We've got all different levels of knowledge here, and
Believe
if
me,
we,
I have a lot of learning.
yeah, I mean, if it's something we
That I
can
have to
we
do.
can pass on and help other people, this is just something we did for fun, and something that we felt like a lot of people listen to the podcast more than they watch us live or watch the video, so they enjoy it. This one's going to be a little rough in the beginning, but we got it going though.
Yep.
So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jake Oxenford, Instagram.com/OxenChevy. And of course, your internet balanced itself out about 3/4 of the way through the show, so you're good.
Yep.
That's always how it
Kinda
goes.
figured
Right?
itself out.
Also, Braden Pennington, Instagram.com/Braden07. And then on TikTok, Bray_Bray07, I want to say.
077.
077. Oh, I was so
Yep.
close. I was trying to make it a point
Yep.
to know that, but you can find him over there on the TikTok. And then my wife, you can follow her, Instagram.com/Keystone Hunters. We're all, if you look up our names, all of us are on Facebook. You can send us a friend request. Go on Instagram. And of course, you can find me, NBO Steven, on Instagram. And then obviously, NoBoundariesOutdoors.com is the central location for all this stuff. But the Facebook page is always active. Braden's posting something. I'm posting something. We're all posting different things to keep you updated on the things that we're getting into or the new products. I know coming up here in the future, we're going to get Grant and possibly Josh from Pure Whitetail to come on. So those guys are going to be coming on. They're one of our new sponsors for this year, so we're really excited about that. And I still like to get Dan Drake to come on and talk about some Scent Crusher products and different things like that, and really get you guys to talk to some of the industry guys as well as folks from Treason. I know we're talking about Trophy Line. There's a bunch of different guys we want to get on. We're just waiting for the turkey season to end because these guys are all traveling, shooting turkeys.
Yep. Full swing right now.
So we got to wait till like later this summer.
Mid-season lull.
Yeah, so once that
Yeah,
happens, we can get these people on and we can have it. And then what I was thinking is, before we wrap up here, I was thinking when we get to hunting season, we might do a season finale where we end the show like, the beginning of September or whatever, and then we bring it back the first of the year, because by that time everybody's done hunting, because I know you're going to be traveling, going to different places. But I think during that hunting, we can gather a lot of footage and we can use it for the show.
Right.
When we come back for like
Yeah.
a season 2, do something like that.
I mean, viewers can even send in their footage if they want
Yes.
to.
That's a great. See, I knew we had
Absolutely.
you here for a reason.
Hey.
She's just not here just to look good. Come on. If you've got some cool footage, or if you've used a product that you think we should take a look at from your footage, send it in.
By all means.
Get it going. On that note, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We really appreciate you guys coming out here. We enjoy this every week, every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We will see you guys next week. Have a great week. Good luck in the turkey woods.